media, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, we welcome you this afternoon on the occasion of building up one last day before what is going to be a historic convening of the National Conference by the veterans of the African National Congress through the ANC Veterans League. You would also remember, and all remember, this constitutes one of the conference resolutions to work very hard to revive various formations and constitutional organs of the African National Congress. So this is what this is all about, as part of the revival, the renewal, the unification process that is running full steam. I am here joined by the leadership of the Veterans League, Comrade Snuki Zikalala, very well known to yourselves to my right. Comrade Susan Shabang, also very well known to yourselves to my left. I will then hand over to Comrade Snuki to then walk us through the statement of the Veterans League ahead of the conference that starts tomorrow. Over to you, Comrade.
Good afternoon, colleagues, and most welcome to the Veterans League's press conference. I'll take you through quickly to the press release that we've prepared. Veterans League of the ANC is excited to announce that its third national conference will be taking place from the 28th to the 30th of July at Birchwood Hotel, under the theme, Renewal of the ANC to Advance the National Democratic Revolution. After the expiry of the end of the term of the previous Veterans League National Executive Committee, a national task team was appointed to take the Veterans League to a national elected conference within 9 months. When we got appointed in November last year, we were given 9 months to take 8 provincial structures of the Veterans League to conferences. It is a result of tireless work of the veterans that this deadline has been met. We are further pleased to announce that this conference is going to be a conference of branches. A conference of branches meaning that 90% of delegates arriving as from today, this afternoon, are coming from properly constituted branches. What it means that this is not a conference of wonke. Branches met in the 8 provinces, 7 provinces, and they elected delegates to a conference. Whoever comes here comes with a mandate from his or her own branch. Now, this is a conference of branches. As we are saying that the Constitution of Veterans League makes it very clear that 90% of delegates come from branches, properly constituted branches. The process to get there here has involved clarifying membership criteria, assisting veterans to become members, and setting up provincial task teams, which convened branches and provincial conferences. Individuals who are over 60 years of age and have been involved to 40 years of service in the African National Congress, and also in mass democratic movements, trade union movement, and faith-based organizations associated with the Congress movement were determined as eligible to become members of the Veterans League. The conference will be attended by about 500 delegates, with a provincial breakdown as follows. Eastern Cape will be having 125 members, Free State 29 members, Gauteng 65, KwaZulu-Natal 29, Limpopo 36, Mpumalanga 54, Northern Cape 37, Northwest 29, Western Cape 47. At least 50% of delegates are women and reflect the non-racial character of the African National Congress. Only pre-registered delegates which have been duly elected and representing their branches will be attending the conference. Comrades who come here without having been elected by their branches, they won't be allowed to participate, because it's branches that elected delegates to come to these conferences, to this conference of ours, and they must go and report back to their branches. Secondly, is that Gauteng and KwaZulu-Natal will come in as non-voting delegates, because they only set up their PTT about this month, and so they were not able to to convene sub-regional branches in some of the areas, and so we are bringing them as non-voting delegates. The same thing with Gauteng. We had serious problems with Gauteng because a PTT was set up, and the PEC went to a conference. That conference was an illegitimate conference. And so what we have done, we have then elected a PTT, a provincial task team in Gauteng, which is led by Comrade Lucy Pikoli, Comrade Ruth Lungu, and of course we incorporated other comrades who were elected in an unconstitutional conference in October, Comrade Zodwa Mpenyane and Comrade Sina Vasu, to become part and parcel of the PTT. But those two comrades declined to participate in the PTT, and so unfortunately they won't be able to attend. An important role of the NTT has been to identify the key tasks of the Veterans League. These include, firstly, rebuilding the Veterans League branches and other structures so that veterans can play a role in leading and guiding both the movement and society, particularly on issues relating to integrity, ethics, and values of this organization of ours. Secondly, to contribute to the renewal of the African National Congress through the battle of ideas, political education, and cadre development. And thirdly, to participate actively in resolving local issues facing community, including through participation in ANC branches and community structures and guiding ANC cadres and councillors. What we are saying as veterans is that the branches of the Veterans League must work with ANC branches at local level. They must ensure that the service delivery, especially to our people. We as veterans were proponents of ensuring that this workshop by ANC municipal structures, which took place this last week, that it takes place because we believe that we cannot go to elections in 2024 without mobilizing our people, that the ANC just to deliver it. The way to deliver it is to ensure that the ANC employs people, South African patriots who are skilled, competent, compassionate, and people who are not thieves to run those municipalities. And so we believe that if we do that, majority of South Africans will vote for the African National Congress. Over the 9 months of its existence, the entity also set up subcommittees responsible for renewal, policy, organization, or mobilization, and fundraising. The policy committee has considered the many contemporary challenges facing South Africa as well as the African National Congress. They've deliberated on the energy crisis, service delivery challenges, and have made inputs into the ANC strategy on coalitions and defense, including those involved in the armed struggle, and those need to be addressed as soon as possible, because we know that we as veterans were tasked to put together a conference of ex-combatants last year, and we made sure that we bring in two parties, that is ANC National Council, MK National Council, and MKMVA. We brought the two structures and established what we call MK Liberation War Veterans. But those Liberation War veterans are still struggling to get their benefits through the Department of Military Veterans. They're struggling with jobs. They're struggling with making sure that they attend to their families. And so we as veterans, we've taken it upon ourselves that they must be helped. The Renewal Committee subcommittee proposed a roadmap to renew the African National Congress. It also indicates disappointment that several constitutional amendments that were proposed to the ANC Constitution at the December 22 conference were not considered and passed. The Veterans League has proposed that between now and the next ANC conference, the ANC should pass resolutions to strengthen and improve the functioning of the Integrity Commission, disciplinary processes, and internal and external elections procedures. We are convinced that Veterans League Conference this weekend will proceed smoothly with exemplary conduct by delegates and continue to put the ANC Veterans League on the path of becoming a credible, disciplined, non-factional, legitimate, and united organization from branch to level up. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Comrade Sinuki. I want to now turn to members of the media and invite you for your questions. Samuel?
Good afternoon, Martin. Good afternoon to Vice President and my name is Mawanda. I work for the Sunday Web. You mentioned that the Eastern Cape has the biggest delegation, I think 125. And the rest have less than 100, even less than 50.
Oh yeah, it's true.
So the question becomes, it looks like on the appearance of those numbers that there's something good that the Eastern Cape has been doing and that others are not doing, particularly KZN and Gauteng. What is it that the Eastern Cape has gotten right that others such as Gauteng and KZN have failed to get right? And then secondly, veterans' big structures, especially in the previous term, have largely been high divisions. How do you heal the divisions going forward? And I think you suggest that those divisions still exist when you say delegates will come here and not from their operations will not be accepted, which does suggest that there is some form of rebellion from within, that some people may come although they are not eligible to come to the conference. And then lastly for me, in terms of the policies that are likely to be discussed here, I would like to understand at least veterans won't be like other structures. They can't just come here to elect new leadership. As the elders and the voice of reason in the organization, they ought to provide direction in terms of the policies that ought to take the organization and the country forward. What are some of the policy proposals that are likely to be debated here? Just the key ones. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mawande. I am still looking on my right. Okay, I'll then turn to my left. The hand is up. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Ndebe. I'm with the SABC. Dr. Z, you mentioned the fact that, as Mawande alluded to, that a number of delegates are coming from the Eastern Cape, and it's the Eastern Cape Conference. Looking at the numbers. What has been the problem for other provinces not to muster at least 50 delegates? And secondly, you said that the veterans are not being taken care of. And this has been a long-standing problem in the ANC, that those who serve in the MK, for instance, their welfare is not really appealing to an organization that is in government. Do you think maybe there is an unwillingness on the part of the leadership that to really change the well-being of these veterans? And maybe lastly, for a lack of a better word, the MK veterans are seen as the council of elders. And some people are asking themselves that why are you contesting? Why are you voting? Regarded as voting delegates in each and every agency conference, is supposed to be really giving the guidance that is really necessary in the ANC, especially in terms of the morality and morality and values of the ANC. Because some people think that you might be factional when you go to a conference, and when you go there are two contestants, and you vote for a certain individual. That on its own compromises maybe the impartiality, because you are regarded as the council of elders. You can speak up, you can say whatever you want to say. As Madiba used to say, that you're not contesting for any future position. Don't you think that on its own compromises that impartiality that should be displayed?
I'm going to, at this point, I think, take it back to Comrade Smith and Comrade Susan, and then we'll have a second bite. Should okay.
Yeah, just answering Mawande and Debo in terms of Eastern Cape. I think when we got dissolved in November last year, Eastern Cape was ready to go to a conference of the Veterans League. And so they had branches that were established. And they were better organized. And so that is why we zoomed into Eastern Cape. They had a provincial task team as well. When we took over, there was a provincial task team, but it was not yet confirmed by the NEC. The last NEC of the Veterans that met, it was in August. And then the task team was established, but the task team was not confirmed by the NEC. When it took over, we found that Eastern Cape was ready with branches. It's then that we zoomed into Eastern Cape. And if you look at the electronic database of the ANC, veterans in Eastern Cape are in the majority. In the Eastern Cape. And so we zoomed in there, and they gave us their data, and we looked at those who qualify as members. Firstly, we have to be 60 years of age and 40 years of uninterrupted service in the ANC. Thirdly, we have to even provide your profile to say that you joined the African National Congress in 1976 or 1974, but these are the two people that trained with you, that knew you. And we confirm that, we have to confirm that. And that is why we went through the database, and their branches were better organized. That is why they went to a provincial conference first, that's the Eastern Cape. And so we went to Eastern Cape, established a PTT. Within 3 months, actually within 2 months, they went to a conference, Eastern Cape. And so they were well organized and better organized. And so other structures, of course, we found that the structures were not in place. There were no branches. It was people who were called over the phone. For instance, I'll give an example of Gauteng. People who are called over the phone in October, come to a conference. You call anybody. And there's no question of a criteria. Why do you have to be a member of the Veterans League or of the ANC? Are you a real active participant of ANC before it was banned? And so Gauteng did not do that. And so that is why we struggled to make sure that branches of Gauteng are established. It is only now, about a month ago, when we established a PTT, a provincial task team of the Veterans League in Gauteng, that went through the database itself, and we identified comrades who qualify, and those who are qualifying are the ones who are coming for the conference itself, and as I said, there'll be 65 of them coming from different branches in Gauteng. Now, all that we are saying is that we wanted people who qualify. We don't want anybody to come to a conference without being nominated or elected by a branch. It must be elected, firstly elected by the branch, and the branch itself give those comrades a mandate to say, in terms of electing the NEC, the top 5 and the remaining 27, who do you want to see there? And in Gauteng, I was there, they did that. They nominated the top 5, and they nominated the 27 remaining NEC members. That's what Gauteng did, and the other provinces did that as well. And so when delegates come here, they come here with a mandate. And we make sure that those who register, the provincial secretary must identify them and say, yes, these are delegates coming from my province. And then tags are being issued, and comrades have been given place to sleep, and then the following day we start with the conference. In terms of the documents that we have, as Veterans League, we have produced documents that will be discussed by delegates, which some of them have discussed in the provinces. One is a constitutional amendment of the Veterans League's constitution. The amendments that we are looking for as veterans is that in the old constitution, it does not allow for branches. And so we are saying for regions. We are saying regions must be included. That's a constitutional amendment. Secondly, we are saying that there should be a strict criteria to admit people who want to join the African National Congress. We are saying that in our constitution, those who are involved in criminal activities or been found guilty by a court of law, being involved in crime, they should not be considered as members of the Veterans League, neither as members of the ANC, because we know that some of our branches have been hijacked by rogues. And so we have to get rid of those rogues. And so we cannot have an organization that has people who are criminally implicated or who are still facing trial. And so that's one of the constitutional amendments. And the other policy that we're looking at is a policy on coalitions. The document will be presented and discussed, because we as veterans were not happy with the manner in which we have handled the coalitions. The ANC has produced a document on coalitions. It still has to be debated. We've still given more input in that coalition document. Delegates will discuss that. The other document that is going to be discussed is the question of renewal of the African National Congress. How do we renew this organization of ours? Because we cannot go on the way we are going. The organization has to be renewed. The other one is, I think that's the last one, is the question of buying of money that is playing so much active role in the African National Congress. We're discussing that paper. The paper is going to be presented by Comrade James Ngulu. We're going to take a position on the issue of money, because people must not buy delegates for votes. They must not be members of other members. We as veterans, we are saying that those who are found to buying individuals for votes, they must be taken to a police station. They must be criminally charged and expelled from the African National Congress, because it cannot happen like that. And so those are the policy issues that we'll be looking at. Question of MK, Liberation War veterans. We do admit that we as government, because the ANC is a governing party, we have not done enough for ex-combatants. That is why we are saying we are going to engage, especially our government, Department of Military Veterans, and the Department of Defense, to make sure that issues affecting ex-combatants must be dealt with expeditiously. And so it's important that we should do that. We admit that we failed our people, but we can still resolve those issues. The other issue, the issue of Council of Elders, Comrade Susan, maybe can answer that.
Council of Elders. I'm not an elder, Muslim.
Oh, you're not yet an elder.
Yeah. No, the Council of Elders, just to say that it's one of the issues and the discussions we're engaging in, because right from the beginning, the formation of the Veterans League, at the beginning of it, in its conceptualization by Mandela, Tatu Sisulu, all the old people or the elderly people, at the back of their minds, they wanted to create a council of elders. So we hope as we discuss and debate within the Veterans League, we'll ultimately come up with that, because we believe that the role of the Veterans League, by being a council of elders, it's to make sure that it's able to counsel members of the ANC. Because where we are, we don't regard ourselves as people who are going to stand for elections. I think we've passed that stage. And hence we have a role to play, as Comrade Snuki indicated, that one, if there's ill-discipline, we must be able to be part of the process in disciplining people, but also in reprimanding, because ANC, it's not just about discipline, it's also about corrective measures. We must be able to play that role constructively in the rebuilding of the ANC and the renewal of the ANC. So the issue of Council of the Elders is still a debate within the Veterans League, because we believe that some of us have gone through many miles in the ANC. We can't go back. Hence, we can't go back and say, now I want to be a minister again. We've gone through a particular process and we're at a particular stage. We need to counsel, we need to assist in the building of the ANC and making sure that when we identify challenges, we're able to come up with corrective measures, counseling for various members. And we hope these are going to be part of the debates for the next coming 5 years. Come the next 5 years, from now on, our role as the Veterans League is to make sure that the policies of the ANC are strengthened and are implemented, because we believe if we have to be the ANC of the past and the ANC which used to be in 1912, it's about making sure that we are decisive as the Veterans League. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to take a round. I want to see if there's somebody who wishes to ask a question. I've got two of my colleagues this side. Is there a joiner in the room?
Yes.
Okay, can I prioritize you? Yes, and start with her over there, and my brother at the back, and then choose you.
Thanks for saying it. Mr. Zikalama, can you share some of the reasons your unhappiness with coalitions? Can you share some of the reasons why you are unhappy with us?
Okay. Yeah, to the back, yes.
Okay, thank you. My name is Putino Somani from Inside Politics. My question is, couldn't you have waited for both Captain Kizere to be ready before hosting this conference, and what are the other deeper underlying reasons for only accepting the delegates from there and voting? The last question is the reemergence of a grouping, the UDF groupings. How do you intend working with the groupings that we've seen recently that they want to be more active in guarding against our democracy? How do you as veterans intend to work with them? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we've got that.
Okay. Maybe the question that I posed on the Council of Elders, it was not about the ANC Veterans League evolving into the Council of Elders. It was about you as the Veterans League participating in ANC conferences as voting delegates, does that don't compromise you, as for a lack of a better word, as I said, as council of elders, people that should be counseling, giving counsel to ANC leadership, but at the same time now you've got preferences. You can go into a conference and vote, and if you don't want Sis Mahlengi, you would vote for Mam Suzeni. And at the end of the day, Mam Suzeni emerges and Sis Mahlengi doesn't. Don't you think that on its own compromises you as this Veterans League that should be giving counsel to the ANC leadership as opposed to having preferences in who should lead the ANC? And maybe second, out of the 500 delegates that will be going to this conference, how many are legible voting delegates in this conference? Because there are those who are coming from 2 provinces who are not eligible to really participate. They can just go there, but they can't vote. How many would be like your voting delegates?
I'm going to take 1 or 2 other hands from this side, and then we'll turn back to Comrade Jason again.
Thanks, Mahlengi. Just maybe to add more what Kurt was saying about the coalitions, as you say that you are unhappy with how the ANC has handled coalitions, and as you correctly said that the ANC of the motherboard has created a document, and there's a whole lot of conversations that are on about the form of coalitions. For instance, in the issue of Gauteng, there's a side within the ANC that are going to bed with the EFF, the other side is saying the EFF is not our friends. There's a whole issue of ideological differences between the ANC and the DA. Others say that should matter less. What should matter is what every party should offer. And where in those kind of discussions do you stand as veterans, as elders and the voice of reason, as I like to put it? And then on renewal, you said you'll also speak about renewal, which is another term that is being thrown around a lot within the ANC, but it is very, very difficult to find what is the content of this renewal, and it looks like many people have a different understanding of what renewal is. Lastly, from my side, you speak about rogues that have infiltrated the ANC, and some people say this is an eventuality that if you occupy a particular position in the ANC, a leadership would be at region, REC, PEC, NEC, and national, it sort of puts you in an advantageous position, a good position to occupy the position of government by an ANC government in that particular area if the ANC wins. What kind of discussions are you having as veterans in having the ANC change the way it deploys its cadres to government, in the sense that it shouldn't guarantee a person that because there are an executive committee of a region, province, or national, therefore they qualify to go into government if the party wins the elections? Thank you very much.
Maybe just a tail end to what Mwanda can say. I mean, the Veterans League, the organization that is over 110 years, where's the crowd? Asking veterans, where is it fight? And I'm coming to think of the ANC begging a party like the EFF that is just 10 years old to work with it in reaching some like Guruleni, Johannesburg, where there hasn't been any sort of governance of those municipalities. Where's the pride of the ANC, an organization that is over 110 years, just to going back to work with a party like the EFF, where its leaders, every time when he gets an opportunity, the ANC president criticizes the ANC president, and where's the pride as the ANC?
Okay. Yep. On the question of coalitions, I think we as Veterans League, we are not happy with unprincipled coalitions. We cannot go into coalitions with a person we don't share values with. We share no values with the EFF. And absolutely we don't. And you know that EFF, their primary role is to depose the African National Congress. And we fish from the same pond with EFF. And so we're not in agreement. Though it's a policy of the African National Congress, this still has to be debated thoroughly. Because who are they representing, really? And so we don't agree with EFF because we don't share any values with them, no principles, no traditions. We don't believe that they mean good to society. And our policies and our values differ completely from the EFF. And so we are saying that that needs to be reviewed by the African National Congress. And so we are saying that if, for instance, we in a province, we get 45% of votes, another largest party gets 44% of votes, why can't we sit and negotiate with that other party, irrespective of which party is that, but negotiate with them and discuss with them how would you deliver services to the poor. It's about service delivery that we're concerned about. It's not about question of what do we get out of that portfolio. And so we are not happy with the manner it is done, but which we've said it to our leadership. And so the conference will take a firm stand on coalitions. Because we as veterans, we believe that we are not going to the coming elections because we want to form coalitions. We're going for outright victory of the African National Congress. Where we have lost, we prefer going to the benches. That's what we believe in, rather than going to coalitions. Where we have lost, let's go back to the benches. Let's expose the party that is won, that they are not delivering to especially society, especially the poor. And so let's work hard and regain those votes. We know that we lost these elections, local government elections, because we failed to deliver to our people. We know that. And so we know that we have to feed these municipalities. We have to employ people with skills, not only ANC members, but South African patriots. South African patriots who are skilled, competent, and incorruptible. People who will deliver to the poor. We know that that's what needs to be done. And so that is why our people lost confidence in us. People stayed away from voting. They did not go and vote with other parties. We know where to fix the broken ship. And so we are saying that is why at the last conference that was held by COCTA, that's what the message we delivered to the mayors, the speakers, say that's what we need to do, and nothing else. And if we do that, the society will come back to us. Because there's no organization in this country or in the world that has policies that we have. We have the best, well-researched policies throughout the whole world. Our biggest problem, implementation of those policies. And of course, we are saying as Veterans League, when we're addressing all our provincial structures, that we said to veterans in the provinces, we want to see every child having acquired a skill. Every child must believe in having a toolbox so that can be able to fix something, not to wait for 350. Every child in South Africa must acquire skills. Every child. You said go to a neighbor, even those kids who have got PhDs but are sitting at home doing nothing, take them to TVET colleges. Let them go to TVET colleges. It will be much more easier for them because when it comes to theory, they'll understand theory. The only thing that will be left is question of practice. We want to see artisans coming from our own young people so that they must not believe that they should be lecturers, they should be bookkeepers, but let them acquire a skill that will improve our country, that will build the economy of the country. That's what we believe as a Veterans League. In terms of UDF groupings, the UDF groupings, 99% of former members of UDF joined the African National Congress. And so it cannot be another political party. That's what we believe in. And people who are organizing the 40th anniversary of UDF are part and parcel of the ANC. And some of them part and parcel of the Veterans League. And so you cannot have another political party. And discussions were held with them. They know, they are saying, no, we're not forming another political party. They're not forming but they are commemorating the 40th anniversary of UDF, which they have the right to do so, because majority of them are members of the African National Congress. The question of Council of Elders, as Comrade Susan said, it's important to have a Council of Elders because you have to counsel. But at the same time, we are saying that when you go to conferences and you find that there's one unethical leader who's been elected at the ANC conference, do you expect us to sit back? And that unethical leader is the one who's going to get majority of votes. Should we sit back? We try our level best to talk to the leadership in the province, in the ANC. No one listens. What do? We'd rather vote for a person who's unethical. A person will be able to make sure that the values and traditions of the ANC are well kept, and not an individual who has been implicated in corruption. That is why we feel that we should be given an opportunity to vote. But at the same time, we are saying in our constitution makes very clear that we, as the Veterans League, we have the authority to intervene on all issues that affect the integrity and dignity of the organization. And at the NEC level, we do that. But at our provinces, we have not been able to do that because our structures have been very weak. But with the new leadership that we have, they'll sit in the provincial working committee of the ANC, they'll sit in the provincial executive committee of the ANC. They will ask those pointed questions, saying that there's no delivery of water there. You as MEC, what are you doing about it? Because they're not looking for positions. They'll be able to say, that comrade, we understand that he's been involved in malfeasance. Why is he not being charged? Right now, if you can see, within the African National Congress, the disciplinary committee of the ANC is led by veterans. 6 of them are veterans. That's the Integrity Commission is led by veterans of the ANC, people with impeccable credentials. And so that's a role that we're playing. Even if you look at also the Disciplinary Committee on Appeals is led by veterans. And we are saying that these veterans, they must not beg anybody, because a person does not beg to join the African National Congress. You join it voluntarily. But if you don't want to adhere to our policies, tough luck. If you get in malfeasance, tough luck. The law must take its course. Unfortunately, the ANC is a democratic organization. We believe in the rule of law, and people who are found to be wanting, that's why we prefer that they let them be criminally charged first. Once they're criminally charged, then that we act on them immediately. It will be impossible to discipline them if they are not criminally charged. Comrade Susan, voting delegates, and another question?
Yeah. Just on the question of voting delegates, we have okay, I'm sorry.
And the pride of the ANC.
And the pride of the ANC.
And the pride of the ANC.
Will be patient.
We have total. We have about 450 voting delegates. We have 90 non-voting delegates. Yeah. We had some of the members, we had about, just to share with you, 69 who were not verified because the information came late. And as we deal with issue of credentials, we do audit first of the branches, as Comrade Convener indicated. We deal with audit of the membership, and some came a bit late, so they were not verified. So we have about 450 who are voting delegates.
Now to ask, well, I think one of you asked about KZN and Gauteng. What happened is that KZN and Gauteng, sorry, a provincial task team was established. That provincial task team was established and it started working, organizing itself. But it was not affirmed or confirmed by the NEC of the Veterans League. Before any structure, any PTT, provincial task team, that has been established, start working, the NEC of the Veterans League must confirm nor affirm that structure. It's a policy of the ANC. And so, same thing happened in Gauteng and KZN. They started working that PTT, which was an illegitimate PTT. And now, when we were established in November last year, we were given a clear mandate by the NEC of the ANC, go and establish provincial structures in the 8 provinces, because Northwest had gone to a conference. The others have not. And so we tried to engage with KZN to say, to come with KZN, the PTT that they've established and that wants to go to a conference is an illegitimate one, because it was not confirmed nor affirmed by the NEC. Then we negotiated with them. We said, look, let's make sure that we regularize the PTT. And so it's only Comrade Mavuso and Comrade Mac and Comrade Susan. I think they went to KZN more than 3 times to speak to the comrades. And eventually they agreed about 2 weeks ago that they'll agree to be part and parcel of a PTT, a provincial task team that is going to be set up by the national task team. And so it was set up, the provincial task team in KZN, 2 weeks ago. And then now they're supposed to go and organize branches. They told us that they've organized branches in KZN, but now they went and organized branches, but people who were in that meeting were people on comrades who were not verified, whether are they members in good standing or not. And so when audit came in, it found that majority of them were members not in good standing. That is why we said, fine, come to your conference as non-voting delegates. That is why they're coming to your conference as non-voting delegates. The same thing happened in Gauteng. They went to a conference in October last year. That conference itself was not authorized by the NEC of the Veterans League, nor the NTT. Then we told them that, comrades, you cannot go to your conference because the manner according to our constitution, is stated very clear that 95% of delegates to your conference must be from properly constituted branches. It's stated very clear. And then we said to them, comrades, this conference is not a legitimate conference. You call people over the phone, they came, and you held a conference. We said it cannot happen. And when we asked them that, let them be dissolved, we put a PTT, they were very adamant. We said, no, well, fine, if you're adamant, we'll continue. We then elected a PTT, which is led currently by Comrade Vusi Pikoli, Comrade Ruth Lungu, and we integrated, we brought in, because we believe in unity. We don't believe in shutting people outside. We're not in that business. We're in the business of uniting and building the African National Congress, because you know that if you don't build the African National Congress, you won't be able to build society. We said the chairperson and the provincial secretary, they must become part and parcel of the provincial task team. Meetings were held, they were called to regions, they refused to attend. And so we then said, comrade, the PTT, Comrade Vusi Pikoli, Ruth Lungu, organized branches in Gauteng. Regional branches, sub-branches, they did, and he said, elect delegates. They elected delegates, these are the delegates in Gauteng who are coming to a conference as voting delegates.
But also just to add on that, the 2 provinces still have an opportunity. They have not gone through their elections, so they still remain responsible for establishing their own provincial leadership, because the PTT, it's an appointed structure, so they have to go through the due processes of electing a legitimate leadership.
Well, Comrade Ntebu wanted to find out where is our pride when we go in collisions with the EFF. I agree with you. We are saddened by that, and we have raised it with our leadership that getting involved and with the EFF, it really takes our dignity away and our pride away. And so we said this must be addressed. And so the leadership has promised us, the top 7, they promised to meet with the Veterans League leadership so that we address this issue. Because it does not make us look good as the African National Congress to go into a collision with a party that does not believe in the values of the ANC, does not even respect our constitutional democracy, does not even believe in the rule of law in this country. And so we cannot go into a coalition with such a party. You cannot. And so that is why we are saying that. That's why we're here as veterans, to make sure that wrong things that are happening within the African National Congress must be corrected. And we're happy to say that Comrade Cyril Ramaphosa has promised us that we'll meet with the top 7 and we'll engage with them, because we have to engage with them on these issues of a coalition. Just imagine Gauteng, a person who's a minister of roads and transports comes up and you say, but who is this man? A mayor with 1 seat, you ask him, but who is this man? We are betraying our own people who voted for us. It's not on. But those issues of coalitions, I think the African National Congress is addressing them, and definitely, I think a decision will be taken, because we cannot just lose our pride as an organization that believes in the values that we ascribe to.
Sorry. I asked the question of how do you stop the rogues pre-facto instead of post-facto?
Okay. In terms of the rogues, what you said, it's unfortunate that we could not amend the constitution of the ANC. We can only amend it now, coming ANC elections. We as veterans put it on the table that we need to amend the constitution of the ANC to say that before you join the African National Congress, there must be a criteria. Why do you want to become a member of the veterans of the ANC? And we are saying that before you are being accepted, you must go through the Oliver Tambo School of Leadership so that you understand why are you involved with the African National Congress? What kind of values does the ANC subscribe to? And so it's there in the Constitution, amendment of the Constitution. But what we are saying, the Veterans League want to propose to the ANC that the NEC must take that resolution, that it should be compulsory for any person who joins the ANC, that person goes through Oliver Tambo School of Leadership, that we look at his profile, his criteria, whether he's been involved in criminal activities. If he is, tough luck, there's nothing we can do about it. And so we're going to request the NEC to take that resolution. Because in the African National Congress, we believe in constitutional democracy. You cannot do anything without subscribing yourself to the constitution of the ANC. And also ensuring that there's compulsory political education, especially of members of the African National Congress. We cannot do that until it's there in the constitution itself. And so that's what we're driving it.
Can I just ask a follow-up?
I'm about to wrap up because I suspect Comrade Snuke and Comrade Susan, you may be detained here the whole evening. We still have a series of briefings that are going to be taking place over the weekend, just to keep members of the media abreast of what is happening, especially during the closed sessions. And of course, we also have the opening sessions. An updated media advisory will be issued this afternoon still in this regard in terms of the order of proceedings. Which ones are open to the media, which ones are closed to the media, but we'll be bringing in leaders from the Veterans League to come and update you. So I'm going to really indulge you for 1 minute left, and then we're going to choose.
Very short, Mr. Zikalala, is it possible to have coalitions with other parties, except the ANC?
Well, our document, if you've read our document, states it very clear, we can go into a coalition with any party. That party that subscribes to our values, traditions, and principles, we can.
Take heart, Comrade Snuki. It's his persistent question.
Oh.
But thank you very much for this, and look out for that updated advisory, and then we will meet tomorrow. But we are starting. You will find it in the advisory protocol. It's used to start around 1, where the Secretary General will give the opening address to the Veterans League. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks.